Hey everybody, today we're going to be doing the Arduino Nano Theremin soldering kit from Cyber City Circuits. Remember, wear your safety glasses when you're doing this. Solder melts at 700 degrees Fahrenheit, and when it does, if it flicks up into your eye, it's going to melt your eye. So please be careful when you're using your soldering iron. Let's go ahead and dump out our pieces and make sure we got everything. We have a list of all our parts right here, but let's go ahead and we'll separate it all out. You see we have our Arduino Nano, we have our headers and our socket, we have our headphone jack, our speaker, our right angle 4-pin header, an ultrasonic sensor. We have 5 1000 ohm resistors. Now those are brown, black, red, so those are 1000 ohm. And then we have a brown, black, brown that is 100 ohm. And we have one of those. We have 20 LEDs, a USB mini cable, and our PCB. Let's go ahead and get started. The first pieces that we're going to put on are the ones that are closest to the bottom of the board, the smallest pieces. And those are going to be our resistors. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our 1000 ohm resistors, we're going to bend down the legs, and we're going to put them in place. Just like that. Now with resistors, it doesn't matter what direction they go in. You can put them in any direction you want. With the LEDs, it does matter. We're going to go over that more in depth when we get to that point. But at this point, it don't matter what direction you put them in. Just like that. And then what I'll do is I'll take my finger and I'll hold them down, and then I'll just spread the leads on the back so they don't fall out. Just like that. And then this is my 100 ohm. The 100 ohm has little pieces of paper on it. So I'll pull the pieces of paper off. And I'll put that one right here, right next to where the speaker is going to go. See? And I'll spread the legs. So let's go ahead and start soldering. Now when soldering, remember, wear your safety glasses. What we're going to do is we're going to clean our tip. Then we're going to add a little bit of solder to the end. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add heat to one side of our component and then add solder to the other side, just like that. Add the heat, add the solder, remove the heat. Just like that. It really is that quick. Then we're going to take our clippers and we're going to clip them. We're going to be careful not to let them shoot into our eye or shoot onto the floor. We're going to hold them with one hand and clip them with the other. Now when you're doing this, you want to be careful. You don't want to get it flush to the board because you don't want to accidentally scratch the board. See, there's traces on the board. We don't want to scratch those traces and it'll break our board, so we want to be careful. See, so now we got our resistors. Next, let's go ahead and put in our headphone jack. This one's a little tricky because it has 5 pins. You want to make sure that your pins aren't crooked. If they are, go ahead and straighten them back out with your finger. And we're going to put it into place, and we're going to double check to make sure all 5 pins come through. See that? Sometimes the pins get bent underneath, and that's no good. So what we're going to do is we're going to add heat to one side and add solder to the other. Just like that. just like that. Next, let's go ahead and let's put in our header for our ultrasonic sensor right here. This one's going to be a little tricky. What you're going to have to do is do one pin, just one pin, and then look at it and make sure it's on there as straight as you want it. If you need to adjust it, what you could do is you could take your thumb, hold it with one side, and then heat up your one pin with the other side, and then you can adjust it. But it's good. So let's go ahead and we're going to do the other pins real quick. If you get a bridge, that's okay. I'll show you how to fix it. I'm about to get a bridge right here. So see how I have 3 pins that are bridged together? What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my tip, and I'm going to heat it up. And what's going to happen is my tip is going to pull the solder away. See that? So I got one cleaned up. And I got the other cleaned up. And then I can heat up that last pin to try to straighten it out some. See? That was easy, right? Didn't need any special tools or anything. Next, let's do the LEDs. Now the LEDs, as you may notice, one leg on the LED is longer than the other. See that? And on the LED holes, there's a circle hole and a square hole. And there's lines next to, well, it's blurry, hold on. And see there's lines next to the holes. The long line is next to the circle hole. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the long leg goes through the circle hole. And we're going to do one row at a time. So we'll just do the bottom row first. We're not going to do them all at the same time because they'll get in the way. But your long leg goes through the circle hole. Just like that. Long leg, circle hole. It does matter. If you get them in backwards, they will not work. So try not to get them in backwards. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold them with one hand and I'm going to bend the leads on the other side. Just like that. And I can flip it over. And I go ahead and solder them on. I'm going to add a little bit of solder to my tip. I'm going to add heat to one side and add solder to the other. And notice I'm only doing one side of the LED now. What I'll do is I'll flip the board over to do the other side. I'm just going straight down. The easier that you make it for yourself, the safer it is too. Safety is important when it comes to this stuff. And then let's flip it over. And I'll go ahead and I'll do the other side. Clean my tip halfway through. Started having problems, so I'll just clean my tip. When you clean your tip, make sure you add solder back to it. Now when clipping these leads are thicker, so they're made to carry more current. So these leads will jump off and they get real stabby. So we're going to be really careful with them. So we're going to bend them back straight back up. And then what I can do is I can hold them with one hand and clip them with the other. See? Helps keep them from shooting out and hitting me in the face or getting on the floor or getting lodged in my hand, which happens. But you're careful when you're doing it, right? And so there you go. Now another thing I could do is I could check, I could see if any of my LEDs are crooked, like this one right here. See that? Oh, it's off the board a little bit. So what I can do is I can hold it with one hand, and then heat up the pins with the other, and they'll just fall into place. And I can do that with as many of the LEDs as I need to. And I need to clip these a little bit shorter. Again, we're not trying to make it flush to the board, but we don't want them super long either. So now let's go ahead and do the next row. Remember, long leg goes through the circle hole. Long leg goes through the circle hole. And you probably have a couple LEDs extra left over. We wanted to make sure that we gave you enough. We didn't give you too few, so we gave you a couple extra. But then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bend my leads down. And solder them on. Again, I'm just trying to heat it up from one side and add solder to the other side. And then when I'm done with this row, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do the other side. If you get a bridge, it's not a big deal. It does have to be fixed. But remember how I showed you earlier, use a dry iron and it'll pull some of the solder off. Go ahead and clip them. There you go. So next, we only got two parts left. We got the Nano and we have the speaker. Let's do the Nano next. So this one's going to be a little tricky. What we're going to do is we're going to put these headers in first. Then we're going to put these pin headers in the sockets. Just like that. Then we're going to put the Nano on top. And we're going to make sure the pins line up. line up perfectly. And we're going to do just one pin on each side. We're just trying to hold it into place. That's all we're doing. Doesn't even have to be pretty. Then we're going to flip it over, and we'll do one pin on each side on the back. And now it's on the board. See, it's on the board. We still have to finish all the soldering, but we want to make sure that it's on there straight. That's not there crooked or anything. Mine's on straight. So I can go ahead. I can do the rest of the pins real quick. So I'm just going to heat up one side, add solder to the other. I have a bridge on mine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my tip. And I'm just going to try to pull it away. Now if that doesn't work, where you have too much, you just have too much, you can use wicking braid. And we're going to clip off a fresh edge of the wicking braid. And what you do is just put it on top. You may have to turn your iron up some to heat it up and get it a little bit hotter. But what it does is it sucks the solder right up like a sponge. See that? Well, we're done with that. Let's flip it over and do the other side. Alright, got another bridge. Easy enough to fix. I'm just going to take my wicking braid. I'm going to clip it off so I have a fresh edge. And I'm just going to heat it up. A bit more solder than I thought. So I'm going to try it again. I'm going to clip off a fresh edge. Alright, now that's all done. But we still got to do this side. Don't forget to do this side. So again, and get a bridge, just pull it away. And flip it over, do the other side. And if you get too much solder, just clean your tip. Use your wicking braid. Next, we're going to do the speaker. So, you see how the speaker has a plus and minus sign on the back? There's a plus or minus sign on the board too. So we're going to line it up with those, just like that. This is probably going to be one of the easiest parts we put on. So I'm just going to heat it up. There you go. So let's clip those leads. And then we can slide our ultrasonic sensor on. And we take our USB cable. Plug it into some power. Plug it into our Nano. And what it does is, it can determine how far your hand is, and it plays notes accordingly. It sees the camera, sees how far the camera is from it. So it's playing music based on that. But how cool is that? Good job putting your soldering kit together. If you have any questions, send us an email. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a great day.